the East African crude effort.
Final investment decision means that all preparations for the production phase by implementing stakeholders have been made, which include call for tenders, placing of contracts, establishing infrastructure, environmental and social impact assessments, among others.
This is the culmination of the hard work and investment that has been made by both the governments, the oil companies, private sector, and the host communities.
Government of Uganda has put optimal focus on local content to spur domestic growth, which was evidenced by the passing of the local content policy in 2018.
So we need to be prepared to partake of the chances that the industry is bringing. Obviously, Uganda's tax base will expand. Tanzania's tax base will equally expand.
The need to meet global demand for oil is pushing Total and CNOOC to meet the agreed local targets.
We need to meet the world's demand for oil. The current spike in global oil price demonstrates that the lack of investment in this sector could have some consequences for customers. We need to launch new developments like the one we are launching today.
On 11th April 2021, Uganda and Tanzania signed a shareholders agreement that was to see both states partner in exporting crude oil to the global market.
We recall that together with Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, you directed the parties involved to quickly finalize pending matters for the formation of the ECOP company and attainment of the final investment decision for the ECOP project. We are now pleased to see that the parties to the ECOP project have complied with that directive.
The resources to be developed in the Albertine Graben encompass the Tilenga project operated by Total Energies with 56.6% and the Kingfisher project operated by CNOOC with 28.33%, both in a joint venture partnership with UNOC. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News, in Kampala.
And a delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia is in Uganda on a benchmarking visit. While in the country, the delegation is also scheduled to meet with officials of the line ministries, departments and agencies of government. Today they met with the Prime Minister and leader of government business in Parliament, Robina Nabbanja, here in Kampala.
Uganda and Zambia have historical and political ties dating back in the 1970s. Zambia has been home to many Ugandans, particularly freedom fighters and politicians. Like Uganda, Zambia practices democratic governance, and last year they held general elections, which ushered in a new government. It's against the background that a delegation of the National Assembly of Zambia is visiting Uganda to benchmark parliamentary best practices. The Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, welcomed the delegation to Uganda.
I take this opportunity to congratulate you, our Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, for completing a peaceful and democratic election cycle last year. We were told that you were in elections. I congratulate you on that respective milestone. So, of course, our Ugandan Parliament team is also about 1 year in the new term.
She gave them highlights on the mandate of the Office of the Prime Minister and leader of government business in Parliament.
Honourable members, I want to share with you a brief description of the mandate and the work of the Prime Minister in Uganda as it relates to Parliament business. The Office of Prime Minister is established in our Constitution under Article 108A, whereby a Prime Minister doubles as a leader of government business in Parliament and, of course, responsible for coordination and implementation of government policies across ministries, departments, and agencies. The Prime Minister is a member of Cabinet, that I mean executive, and a member of the Parliamentary Commission. The The Parliamentary Commission is a governing body of Parliament. And of course, Cabinet is a governing body of the Executive, because Parliament is headed by the Speaker and the Executive is headed by the President, deputized by the Vice President.
The leader of delegation, Malungu Chisangano, who is also the first Deputy Speaker, National Assembly of Zambia, appreciated the cordial relationship existing between the two countries. She said they are in Uganda to compare notes with their Ugandan counterparts and to copy best parliamentary practices. The meeting was also attended by the second Deputy Prime Minister, Moses Ali, Minister for General Duties, Kasule Lumumba, among other ministers in the Office of the Prime Minister, Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Meanwhile, a section of members of parliament and other political leaders have welcomed the idea of reopening the Katuna border between Uganda and Rwanda. Now, Member of Parliament for Ora County, Bihika Lawrence Songa, wants more talks to continue to avoid reoccurrence of circumstances that led to the closure of the border. This comes amidst optimism and eventual reopening of Katuna-Gatuna border, whose gates were closed in early 2019, paralyzing movement and trade. Henry Okurut has the report.
The principals have met. Talks have been held. Handshakes have been made, and some third parties have been involved, and some decisions reached.
We are having a situation where the East African community is nearly breaking down, like it did in 1977, without people involvement, and yet the treaty claims it is citizen-centered.
I have searched in vain, and I cannot see any major national reason for Uganda to be in conflict with Rwanda. I hope the people of Uganda do not fall into the trap of beginning to consider Rwanda as an enemy country, much less considering the people of Rwanda as enemies of Uganda.
More than 2 years after such concerns, something tangible has been realized.
So for me, I hope that we are going to keep these borders open for maybe much longer. I will never close them again because we've learned our lessons.
Not everyone had been this optimistic until about slightly more than 1 week ago. The Commander Land Forces of the Uganda People's Defense Forces visited the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. A few days later, this letter affirming Rwanda's commitment towards opening the border with Uganda circulated on social media. It has come to pass. The border has been opened to the happiness of Ugandan members of parliament.
We want to thank General Ngozi. We want to thank the president for sending him there. And we want to thank also President Kagame for this kind of gesture, because it is very important that in Africa here, we must solve our own problems. We don't want other people outside Africa to come and solve our problems.
The Ugandan MPs, however, argue that the talks should not end, and this is how and why.
We shouldn't be having problems of borders in terms of goods and services and flow of people. So we have now big questions whether what we are forging as the East African integration has a future.
All problems are created by our mouths, and they can be solved by talking. So I think this is a very good thing that has happened. Let us focus to see that the East Africa Federation, the East Africa bloc, we can address our challenges together if we are united.
The Republic of Rwanda issued a travel advisory to its nationals against traveling to Uganda in February 2019, citing what was described as unguaranteed safety. With the border now opened, people movement and trade could return to normalcy after 3 years. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, head of mission for Uganda, Lucy Daxbacher, has called upon IGAD member states to conclude the IGAD Treaty that is still in draft form for better promotion of peace and security in the region. She disclosed this at the third technical committee meeting on improvised explosive devices threat assessment aimed at development of a regional strategy to prevent, counter and respond to the threat of improvised explosive devices in the IGAD region.
Africa has suffered gravely from the scourge of improvised explosive device use, with more than 1,200 incidences recorded across the continent between June 2018 and May 2019 alone. From this experience, IGAD organized a two-day technical committee meeting to tackle the issue of improvised explosive device to build their own capacities that meet both internal defense and peacekeeping mission requirements. They gathered to articulate on a joint approach to combat the threat of improvised explosive devices in the region. The IGAD head of mission for Uganda, Lucy Daxbacher, called upon the member states to look into the key issues pertaining to security and development in the region, like expediting the IGAD treaty, among others.
The data sharing protocol for IGAD has not been yet concluded, and the data sharing protocol directly relates to the matter of cross-border information sharing, matter of intelligence gathering, matter of intelligence sharing, so that our region can be safe, so that member states can intervene in a timely fashion and protect our citizens from such factors as terrorism.
The problem is real, and it calls for, first of all, making sure we have a common strategy to counter this threat of IEDs, but also the other aspect of cooperation, sharing of information, sharing of experiences is very critical in this effort. And
African Union Peace Support Operations, Defense and Security Divisions have embarked on a strategy to develop initiatives to address the growing improvised explosive device problem in Africa.
Yesterday there were a blast in Kenya, there is a blast in Mogadishu, there is an attempted blast in Ethiopia, in Sudan, in South Sudan, everywhere. Therefore, it is the high time just to have this regional strategy to counter improvised explosive devices used by the terrorist groups and violent extremist organizations.
But we have all these alerts flying all over the place. So what does it mean? Does it mean that we do not have a mechanism to generate our information and also counter-check our information with the information of cooperating countries like the EU and the US? Or what does it really mean? So the whole aspect of information is so important.
Improvised explosive devices are weapons of choice for terrorist organizations worldwide, posing a threat to security forces, individuals and local systems of governance. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
Now, the legal team representing a critique and fiction writer, Kakwenza Rukirabashaija, has asked court to dismiss all the charges against the accused following purported identified gaps in the disclosed evidence to the defense and the torture which was inflicted on their client during and after the arrest. After listening to both sides, defense and prosecution's prayers, the presiding magistrate, Douglas Singiza, ordered them to file written submissions, after which he will deliver his ruling on the 3rd of February 2022. The new developments in the controversial case take place when the accused appeared at Uganda Road Magistrates Court for mention of the case. Kakwenza Rukirabashaija is facing charges of offensive communication when he disturbed the peace and the person of the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, through his Twitter handle, Kakwenza Rukira.
We have just received the disclosure, and we are going to formally complain to the magistrate, to the court, One, we are requesting that his passport be returned to him so that he can travel abroad for proper medical examination and treatment following his torture. We are going to put that in writing today as advised by court. And we are also requesting that since there was torture and violation of his rights, the proceedings are either quashed there and then, or they are referred to High Court for proper determination. We are also contesting the validity of the charge sheet because it doesn't allow our client to defend himself, because there is an alleged offensive communication from tweets, but there are no words from that were used by our client. So that is a bit defective. We want a clear charge sheet, a clear charge if our client is going to face charges. So that really is the crux of what we went through today. We'll be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a ruling on whether this court is quashing this case or whether they are referring it to High Court, and also whether they are returning his passport to enable his travel abroad.
All right, with that, we take a quick break. When we return, more details. This is News Tonight.
Brought to you by.
We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Everyone deserves more, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Senki points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent location. Get 150 Senki points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senki points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senki points, dial *141#. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Start the year off with my Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Our Ugandan story isn't a new one. It's not about where we come from. It's about what can be accomplished when we're working, living, and growing together. It's about speaking the same language, the language of progress. We're Ugandans building Uganda with Ugandans, skilling Ugandans and developing competencies required in the oil and gas sector, partnering with Ugandan businesses to achieve greatness. We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Start your day bright and early with Good Morning Bundles from Airtel. That's right. Enjoy brighter days with 2 GB at 5,000 shillings, valid for 24 hours. Join that morning agent meeting. Close that online business deal. Catch up with loved ones. Do it all with the most affordable data bundles. Dial *175# to buy Good Morning Bundles from 12 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. and enjoy 2 GB, valid for 24 hours from time of purchase. Good morning bundles for the best day ahead with Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my father spends time with me. I hope all fathers will like my father. I want my father to reach out to all fathers. He knows how important it is to be a good father. I promise to help my father inspire other fathers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
The thing goes clink, clink, clink. Woo.
Grab an ice-cold bottle of Pepsi Max today and drink to your bold lifestyle. Enjoy maximum taste with no sugar. Now available at a shop near you. Maximum taste, no sugar.
Everyone deserves more, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Senki points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent location. Get 150 Senki points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senki points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senki points, dial *141#.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Our Ugandan story isn't a new one. It's not about where we come from. It's about what can be accomplished when we're working, living, and growing together. It's about speaking the same language, the language of progress. We're Ugandans building Uganda with Ugandans, skilling Ugandans and developing competencies required in the oil and gas sector, partnering with Ugandan businesses to achieve greatness. We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Welcome back now in business news. East African Business Council has expressed disappointment over failure by East African Community Secretariat and line ministries to expedite the political integration of the EAC and promote free cross-border trade within the region. East African Business Council Chief Executive Director John Bosco Kalisa has urged custom agencies from the East African Community partner states to contribute to the goals of the East Africa Community integration by effectively implementing the agreed upon mechanisms to completely eliminate tariff barriers that affect efficient business flow within the region.
East African Business Council Chief Executive Director John Bosco Kalisa has faulted the East Africa Community Secretariat and the line ministries over failures on their mandate to promote free cross-border trade within the region.
Our intra-regional trade, our taxes are not growing. We've been stuck at 15% contribution of our tax revenue. With all these efforts, we don't even get taxes. I wish we could even say we harassed traders, but we also generated revenue. You don't see even those revenue. So what I've seen that now this has become just an avenue for corruption, and that is very frustrating. It's an avenue for corruption. We need to be bold and talk about it. Why trade agencies are not doing their work? With all the infrastructure, it's not an issue of infrastructure. Someone talked about the scanner. The scanners are not working.
Mr. Kalisa was responding to the cries of the cross-border traders at the Uganda-Tanzania border point of Mutukula, who cited non-harmonized policies within the region, unnecessary delay in cargo clearance, taxation disparities, as some of these major challenges are affecting their business.
Whenever we bring our complaints to our immediate supervisors, they say, this one is beyond my understanding. It means that there is someone who is somewhere, maybe highly.
I would only challenge the Secretariat to actually come to the ground, East African community is not for the heads of the state. We are the East Africans, and we are the stakeholders. So whenever you're forming up policies, then let's have a harmonized system whereby everything else is understandable to almost everybody across the board.
Mr. Kalisa says custom agencies from the East Africa Community Integration Partner States should contribute to the goals of the East Africa Community Integration by effectively implementing the agreed upon mechanisms to completely eliminate non-traffic barriers that are affecting effective business flow in the region. He expressed the need to enhance collaboration and networking by sharing trade information for increased regional integration and socio-economic transformation. East African Business Council is repositioning to build competitive economics in the East Africa region by setting up attractive business models to help domestic businesses grow their networks.
And our sports rugby player Innocent Gwakto, rally driver Ponciano Rwakataka and Wakiso Giants football clubs Moses Aliro have won the respective Fortebet Real Star Awards for January.
The much-acclaimed Fortebet Real Star Sports Awards ceremony has been hosted at Route 256 in Lugogo, a Uganda capital Kampala suburb. This award is a reserve for the best players from the previous month, with organizers usually selecting from a few sports disciplines. For this January 2022 awards ceremony, organizers picked rugby, motor rally and football. Ultimately, Heathens Rugby Club player Innocent Gwakto, rally driver Ponciano Rwakataka and Wakiso Giants winger Moses Aliro beat their colleagues. This Fortebet Real Star Award is achieved in collaboration with Jude Color Solutions and is a brainchild of a sports scribe, Isaac Mokasa.
Football, also it was a good sign to see the so-called small clubs producing the best performers of January, because I talk about a club like Gaddafi, which had Sibira Yunis, was one of the contenders, and also this Aliro plays for Wakiso Giants. So that the so-called small teams in the league, but again they're producing best performers. So it was an indication that if this big club just slip down, guys are ready to take them over. Then for rugby, they have been having their league going on. So we have a team which went and inspired these guys, how they have been performing. That's why we came up with the Heathens performer. Remember, they are top of the log as we speak now.
Mokasa promises to keep growing the stature of the award till it gains global status. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
And a fixture between Vipers Sports Club and Sports Club Villa can never be underrated. Villa with pedigree, Vipers with form, expect an entertaining game. Vipers host Villa at St. Mary's Stadium in Chitende this Wednesday, a game that had been postponed to allow players feature for the national team. The other game lined up on the day, Bright Stars hosts URAFC at Kavumba Recreational Grounds. Vipers held its last training session, and here are the reactions.
We need to win our team, and hopefully I still pray to him I continue with the same form the club to help and win the games. As players, we respect Villa. It's a good side. Most of the players are young, energetic, but it doesn't matter because we're well prepared. We need to win the game, so I'm sure we'll win the game.
Yes, it's very important to receive again our players, and I trust too much my players because every time we give good feedback inside the field, and we prepare very well this game. Okay, during friendly games, tactical training, and I'm very happy. And in special, I want to talk about the Carissa. Carissa, he's a smart player, tactical player, because every time movie, and give you option between lines. About this, I think it's very important and for Vipers. And I respect too much my opponent, but I want win this game. I think it's our objective.
Well, with that, let's quickly take a look at the headlines once more.
Brought to you by How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Uganda announces final investment decision on oil and gas. MPs and others appeal for continued dialogue following Katuna border reopening. While Zambian National Assembly members visit Uganda, meet Prime Minister Robina Nabanja. And Gwakto, Lwakataka and Little rewarded for excellent sports displays in January.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Well, that does it for News Tonight for now. We do return at 10 o'clock with more details. Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language. I am Rhoda Ngozi. Do stick around.
Fruitful and happy celebrations to Tarehe Sita, which will be celebrated